grab a drink, get comfortable. This is 8 movies in 8 minutes, bitch. Chin chin. Oh. And welcome back to movies I watched this week. It's been a while. It's been a while since we posted one of these. The last one was rating my best friend's top 4, which you should totally go check out. And then 10 movies in 10 minutes. So I haven't watched a movie up until very recently, okay? So we're gonna be covering a lot of ground. 8 movies, which is why I'm giving myself the time limit of 8 minutes, which you know is not gonna happen. But I think it's really nice that I don't give up on myself, and I don't think you should either. So 8 movies, 8 minutes. That said, let's do a little bit of housekeeping up at the front, yeah? Grab a drink, like I said. My hyperfixation lately has been plain club soda. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't really know. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll get into the movies, okay? So, if you did not know, if this is your first time here, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, or don't. We don't care. We're just happy to have you, right? Okay, so Dry Gin Martini, yes, this YouTube channel that you're on right now, hello, is also a blog and a website, and my TikTok username and my Instagram account. Okay, so it's really just kind of like the Apple ecosystem, but there's a Dry Gin Martini ecosystem, so you can totally go check all that stuff out. A lot of fun things have recently come out, and a lot of fun things are soon to come out. So do with that what you will. I'm not your mom. I can bring you to water, can't force you to drink, okay? That's enough of that. Let's get into the movies, because I need to talk about some of this stuff with you. Alright, the first movie on this list I watched months ago in theaters, and that movie is Weapons, directed by Zach Cregger, 2025. Last night at 2:17 a.m., every child from Miss Gandy's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and never came back. When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanishes on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind the disappearance. I loved this movie. I thought this movie was incredible. I love stories that have a large ensemble cast where we get to follow them at different parts. I immediately thought of Valentine's Day, all right? Now, I know Zach Cregger himself has said that Magnolia was an inspiration for this film, which I did end up watching. We'll talk about later when we get into Paul Thomas Anderson. But I really loved this. I loved how the story took us on turns, and how at each turn it was like we picked up from where we left off, but not in the sense of like I'm walking down the street and we're following me with the camera, and then I pass a stranger and we start following the stranger. It was like I'm having a day, and then we just cut to another character and it picks up at a part of the story that was like 30 minutes prior. It was incredible. My favorite person in this movie was Austin Abrams. I thought his acting was phenomenal. I think he's so incredibly talented. I think he's so funny, and I do find him attractive. Of course I do. He reminds me of Timothée Chalamet a little bit, especially his like vocal voice acting in this. But Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Alden Ehrenreich, Austin Abrams, Benedict Wong, Amy Madigan, Carrie Christopher, I can't get into the rest. I can't. I just can't. You know how I am. I can't. I'll get overwhelmed. Basically, the film follows exactly what it said before in the synopsis. A group of kids, all but one in one classroom, mysteriously go missing at the same time at night. Everybody checks their Ring doorbell cameras, which I love, because horror now, like, there's an added element of surveillance because everybody has cameras, but not only on your phone, but on your house. And like, it's not like how you could get away with crime in the 70s. Like 9 out of 10 times there's going to be a camera somewhere. There's cameras all over this street, I'll tell you that much, okay? So there's this added element of surveillance. So all these kids go missing at the same time, and these people are just kind of like, we have no idea where they are. They're just missing. And Julie, the teacher, who becomes like obsessed with this, and she uses alcohol to like suppress her feelings, but she becomes obsessed with these kids and everything that's going on, especially the one and only kid that was not taken. She goes to the house, she sees that the windows are boarded up, and she's like, this is obviously like a CPS call, like a concern, and just nobody's concerned about it. I did interpret the film as being like an allegory for mass shootings. That's my interpretation. And horror and film is subjective, so what you took with it, that's your business. This was my business. Usually when it comes to horror, people assume that it has to be a jump scare kind of thing or a super, super psychological, deep meaning thing. And where Weapons very clearly has subliminal visual cues as to like what could be the symbolism of the film, at the end, spoiler not really, it's all over TikTok, I'm assuming you already saw it, it turns out to be witchcraft. And I thought that was fucking killer, especially it being this old woman who wants to, I guess, like, in not so many words, like, have eternal youth and eternal power, and the way that she does that is with a stick and by taking a piece of hair from somebody or like a piece of something from somebody, wrapping it around the stick and breaking it, and then she can control them, which is why in the trailer all the kids are running with their arms out like this, whatever. She summoned them all to her house, okay? I'm not getting into plot here because I would do a bad job. Clearly I'm doing a bad job literally right now, but I just thought, what a brilliant way to tell a story, especially a horror that was so incredibly funny. Also, what this film does such a good job, which I picked up on when I watched Magnolia, was how everybody dealt with grief in different ways. And I think they did a beautiful job depicting that through Julie's alcoholism. Josh Brolin was like, as Archer, he was just so angry and like resentful towards the people in his community not having the same determination to find their children as he did. So he kind of resented everyone around him. Where Marcus, the principal, played by Benedict Wong, he was just trying to like, not that he was in denial, but he was trying to continue to like keep a brave face because he was the principal of the school and all of these kids went missing. So anyway, I really liked Weapons. I liked Weapons as a horror movie. I also liked it as a comedy. And I loved what was her name? I loved Aunt Gladys. She was incredible. And I hope to see a few Halloween costumes of Aunt Gladys. Okay? So that was Weapons. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was great. And I really, really loved Julia Gardner in this movie. I thought she was fucking great. So that was my Weapons review. Next movie I watched. This is how I know it was super long ago. I watched this on August 17th with my friend Mary because she'd never seen it before, and that is Call Me By Your Name, directed by Luca Guadagnino, 2017. I'm going to touch on this very briefly because if we want to get into specifics about Call Me By Your Name, I will be in tears in 5 minutes. Okay? You know why? The log line. Is it better to speak or to die? You want to really get into that? You want to get into that scene with Elio and his father on the couch when he's talking about that? Do you want to? Let's start there. Okay. In the summer of 1983, a 7-year-old boy, Elio, spends his days in his family's villa in Italy. One day, Oliver, a graduate student, arrives to assist Elio's father, a professor of Greco-Roman culture. Soon, Elio and Oliver discover a summer that will alter their lives forever. I'm going to blindly assume that you have seen this movie because I can't explain to you the emotional connection I have to it if I have to take you and hold your hand through the plot, okay? So we are going to assume that you saw the movie. If you have not seen the movie, just skip ahead. Go watch the movie and come back, okay? I've seen this movie so many times. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was in my bed wrapped in the sheets sobbing. It was so hard for me. And I think as I've gotten older, because in 2017 I was 15? I don't know. I was 15. I'm now 23, okay? As I've watched this movie repeatedly over the years, I always find something new to like fester about. The first time I watched it, it was just the movie as a whole. The second time I watched it, it was the age gap between Elio and Oliver and myself trying to justify why it was okay, even though it wasn't. But it's like the love story really makes you think that like the age gap is okay, even though there is definitely a power imbalance that heavily affects Elio in the story. Obviously, clearly, yes. Again, I've not read the book, so I can't give you specifics from the book. But I want to specifically now talk about the importance of the scene with Elio and his father when he's saying, like, is it better to speak or to die? And he's basically insinuating, like, I know about you and Oliver, and I think it's okay. Like, what you had was really beautiful, and you should be really happy and lucky that you got to experience that. And I wish on a star, on a shooting star, that more media, film, television, books, whatever, had a parent that was understanding and supportive of their children, like regardless of their own selfish tendencies or whatever. Mr. Perlman just saying, like, that one scene where they're sitting on the couch and he's basically saying, like, I see you, I hear you, like, it's totally okay, like, it's whatever. It is the most impactful scene in the entire movie because, yes, Oliver and Elio are, like, silently navigating this relationship with one another, this gay relationship. All it takes is one person in your corner to be like, that's okay. I don't care that you're gay. Like, it doesn't affect me at all. Like, I want you to be happy, and I'm so glad that you got to experience that. Do you know how important that is to people? Not only from a perspective of sexuality and, like, making sure that the LGBTQ youth feel comfortable in a society that so badly wants to weaponize and villainize them for their existence. But do you know the, like, subliminal messaging in movies for decades and decades and decades of telling boys and men that they have to be strong and brave and, like, they have to be a manly man, and how that leads to men growing up and being in relationships with women where they're unhappy, and that can just lead to harm for women? I'm talking about DL men, yes? Like, if there was just more media that had one line, one scene, one bit of dialogue that let people know that this is okay, rather than constantly threatening, harming, and just, like, verbally assaulting the LGBTQ plus community, like, I definitely think there would be a shift in society, okay? Luca Guadagnino is one of my favorite directors. Bones and All is one of my favorite movies of all time, and the book is even better, which I rarely say. I'm such a movie person over the book. Personally, I like to watch a movie and then read the book because it feels like I'm getting extra info instead of reading a book, watching a movie, and being like, they cut out so many important pieces, right? Luca Guadagnino does a magnificent job of capturing vulnerability and stillness. I said this in my review in Queer, and I'm saying it again with Call Me By Your Name. There are so many scenes where there's no dialogue. There's just people walking, and it's like you can feel their pain and suffering. And I just want to, like, I want to go to Elio. I want to grab him. I want to hold him. I want to hold him while he cries. I've never dated anybody. I've never experienced heartbreak like that. I can't imagine. And I'm not looking forward to that day. Okay, I'm not at all. But, like, something about the way that Luca Guadagnino phrases and frames these kinds of heartbreak and hardships makes me feel like it's okay and it's for the better, which I know it is. Like, when people leave your life, it's because they're meant to. And it's really terrible, and it feels like you're dying. But if they were meant for you and they were meant to be with you, there would be no reason for them to leave or want to leave. And I always compare, like, romantic relationships to that of friendships because that's all I have to gauge on it. But it's like, all of my friends, I love them unconditionally. I would never want to change who they are as people. So when it comes to dating, why would you want to be with somebody who wants to change who you are fundamentally? There's a difference between changing somebody for the better and being like, I know what you're capable of, and I don't think you're, like, living to your fullest potential. That's totally different than being like, I think you should change this, this, and this, and this so you can fit my idea of perfection. Then why are we together? I know that's a tangent, but it kind of sweeps us into the map that leads to you, which is directed by Lasse Hallström. I hope I said that right. I'm really sorry. 2025. Love is a Journey Worth Taking. This stars KJ Apa, who may or may not be Mr. Fantasy, and Madeline Klein, who is so fine. Let me just say that. Heather is a young woman traveling Europe with friends before starting her perfectly planned life. A chance meeting with Jack sparks an unexpected romance that leads to a deep emotional discovery. As secrets and life's choices test their bond, her path changes forever. I liked this movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it was sweet. However, and this is where we do the study abroad button. Study abroad button. As a person, all right, my computer's gonna fry, so let's, got too many tabs going, hold on. But like I said, as a person who has traveled, studied abroad and then backpacked across Europe with my friend Kate, there were way too many things that were just like, yeah, we're gonna stay in Europe. We're all just gonna stay here. Also, just like, you're gonna go off with 2 random men you met? What? Well, actually, so the one girl who goes home with a random guy, like, the one night they're there in Barcelona, I totally get, like, I want my friends to have fun and live, but I'm also so scared of, like, somebody being kidnapped and murdered. So, like, when they were just kind of like, oh, she's missing. Huh? She's missing. Okay, whatever. I just thought there were too many times where we were like, yeah, sure, go frolic around Europe with this random guy you met 2 days ago. I wouldn't frolic around with Europe with a guy I met 2 years ago. All right? I don't trust them. I don't trust them. Okay, anyway. KJ Apa, Madeline Klein. Complete foils of one another. KJ Apa, spoiler alert, has a heart condition or something and is, like, gonna die. Which has to be the plot of a love story or we can't have it, right? My Oxford year. You can't have 2 people falling in love unless one of them is going to die to prove to you the point that, like, time is of the essence and you should tell people how you feel in the moment. I get that. Can we have a love story where they're not, like, on the verge of death? Can I see a love story where 2 people end up together and are happy and live a life together? You are giving me no hope. No hope for relationships or monogamy. Truthfully, this is why I watch Queer as Folk and I like Brian and Justin. I like what they got going on. All right? Anyway, Madeline Klein's character, she's type A. She plans everything to the letter. She has her life planned out. She's going to be in banking because it's stable, which I was like, okay, I understand a girl who is type A and all of that, but it doesn't then make sense that she would be so comfortable with her friends, like, just going out and doing these things. You know what I mean? Like, if she was type A, it seems like she would be a little bit more aggressive and bossy. I feel like her type A-ness, the second she met KJ Apple, just, like, disappeared. Which I understand in the sense of, like, they met each other and it's like she's so comfortable around him that she can let go and just live freely because that's what he does. But at some point, it's like, once again, you just met him on a bus, nonetheless, or on a train, and he just, like, slept on the rack on top of you. Like, he's hot, duh. It's KJ Apa, duh. Let's envision a random dirty stranger doing that. You'd be like, what the fuck? But they were reading the same book. Like, it was a meet cute. I had a hard time with it. Then she goes home, her friend gets married, and she's unfulfilled and unhappy, and she realizes, like, I want to be with KJ Apa. And KJ Apa's like, you want to plan? I don't plan. I live by my dead grandpa's journal. We're compatible here, but we're not compatible here. She says, forget it. She somehow figures out where he's going to be based on his dead grandpa's journal. She shows up there. They have this wonderful meet cute. It's awesome. Thought it was lighthearted. I thought it was fun. I thought if you were going to put it on paper, it would make sense. But not movies aren't always meant to make sense. They're meant to make you feel. And this one made me feel good. I can't even lie. It made me feel good. And it made me want to know who's Mr. Fantasy. Okay. The next movie I watched was the highly anticipated By Me film starring the hot, the fine and sexy, talented, dynamic, captivating, charismatic, I mean, the list goes on and on, Tyreek Withers. Okay, him, 2025, directed by Justin Tipping. Now, let me start by saying, I understand that this film was produced by Jordan Peele. I think they did a huge disservice to Justin Tipping by having produced by Jordan Peele be bigger on the poster than the director's name. Because when people hear that, when people hear produced by Jordan Peele, do you know what the majority of people are thinking? Directed by Jordan Peele. And they think they're going to go in and they're going to see Get Out. They're going to see Nope. Okay? Like, I don't like when film marketing or, like, studios do that. I understand that they're trying to have Jordan Peele be, like, the pull and the draw. Like, oh, people are going to come because they want to see this. But it does a disservice to the person that actually directed it because they're getting unfair criticisms based on people not educating themselves about who directed the movie, okay? So, just want to put that out there first, all right? Greatness demands sacrifice. After suffering a potential career-ending brain trauma, Cameron Cade receives a lifeline when his hero, the legendary 8 time championship quarterback and cultural megastar Isaiah White offers to train Cam at Isaiah's isolated compound that he shares with the celebrity influencer wife, Julia Fox, whom I also love. But as Cam's training accelerates, Isaiah's charisma begins to curdle into something darker. I love that word because it really is curdle, and that's exactly what happens. Tyreek Withers plays Cam. I was going to say Cam Cameron from Summer I Turned Pretty. He plays Cam Cade. And just in case you guys didn't know, Tyreek Withers was a wide receiver at Florida State. Yes, I did know that. I know the man. I love the man. Okay? He's fine as fuck. Anyway, he's also so talented. Like, when I say a man is fine as fuck, like, I want you to know I'm also thinking that he's a person. I'm not trying to objectify. Like, I just think he's talented and really nice to look at on the big screen in the back row of a Flix 10 Dipson theater. So yeah, he has his career injury, gets to go train with Isaiah White, and the film basically follows him as he discovers the truth to the saying, don't meet your heroes, don't meet your idols, because he goes there and he thinks, like, this is my second chance, like, I'm gonna learn from the best how to be the best so that I can fulfill my dreams and also my father's dreams, because his dad passed away, and part of the reason he's playing football is because he feels like he owes it to his dad, because his dad made so many sacrifices for him to play the sport. So it's like this kind of almost guilt that he's feeling where he's like, I have to keep playing football. Like, I know I almost died, but I gotta do this for my dad. Totally Troy Bolton style. Which I'm wondering if High School Musical 3 was an inspiration to Tyreek Withers, because he himself in college was trying to act and play football together. I have so many questions. Guys, let me do, can we get a lot of likes and subscribers and views so that I can start interviewing people about movies? Because I have so many questions that are not, what was it like to kiss your co-star? Also, Marlon Wayans, I literally love you so much. And if you see this, this is my audition to be in the next scary movie. Okay, let me know your thoughts. All right, so basically he goes to this training camp, they start working out together, and he's learning all of the, like, the basic things, like, if you want to be the best, you have to, like, train the best, you have to work hard, you have to want it, you have to sacrifice things in your life to have this. And we go on this journey with him as, like, we pull back the curtain to realize that Isaiah White is kind of literally like a psychopath. And he has sacrificed so much to get to the position that he's at, that when he meets Cam, he realizes, like, I'm not ready to retire and give this up. I still have it. Like, I'm the best. And it's almost like, it kind of a little bit reminded me of the Me versus Me, which we've seen a lot in movies this year. Quite literally, with, like, so many actors playing twins, Mickey 17, Sinners, even Superman, really, the 4th or the 5th season of You as well. But, like, this Me versus Me thing where it's like you're seeing the older version of yourself. So Cam is seeing Isaiah and he's like, this is the older version of me, this is what I can become if I work hard, like, and I sacrifice and I prove that I am capable of being the best. And Isaiah White sees Cam and he's like me when I was in my prime. Like, look where I am. I can't give up now. Like, I'm the best. Why would I give up now? Like, I'm literally the best. I'm the GOAT, which was originally going to be the title of the movie, but then the animated movie with the GOAT on Netflix is coming out, so whatever. Which is produced by Steph Curry, I believe. Sorry to drop so much knowledge. I just, like, hit the pen. Anyway, okay. So we, like, basically Julia Fox, like, hand me a Jade butt plug. Like, that was so funny. She was so funny. I love her. I would watch her in anything. I want to see her take over Hollywood. Yeah, I love her. Anyway, so we go on this journey, and I just want to say, like, it hit all the notes for me. Cinematography was so stunning. It was stunning, yeah? Fucking beautiful. The costume design was so tactical, and, like, I felt like I could feel it through the screen. Like, they were wearing all of these Nike running things that were, like, 3D and had bubbles on them. I'm not athletic. I don't know what that shit is. But also just, like, the mascot being made of tinsel, like, the turf, their cleats, the pigskin leather of the football. Everything felt like I was there. It was so visceral, which is one of my favorite things in horror, and I'll always think of the substance and, like, the egg sizzling in the pan. Like, every sound, you just feel it roar through your body. That was this, especially with the the aspect of athleticism, like the running, the catching the football, the turning, the running, the drills. The scene where they were running the drill and he had to close his eyes and turn, catch, throw, and if he missed, the other guy got smashed in the face. Like, that was like bone crunching, like stomach curdling, like, oh, it was fucking awesome. I loved it. That said, I loved the third act of the film. I am seeing unreleased footage of him winning a Super Bowl championship, so where's the director's cut? I'm gonna need all of that. Is there an alternative ending? Whoa. Is there an alternate ending where he signs the contract? Like, I have so many questions. I have so many questions. So I want to get to my talking points about the movie now. And we're obviously past 8 minutes. Did you really think we were going to do it in 8? I couldn't run an 8-minute mile. Are you crazy? All right. I totally could if I was running with Tyreek Withers, though. Okay, so my takeaways from this movie were several things. The first one being a depiction of the way in which we raise boys, which kind of ties into weapons, really. And that is, we raise boys from a very young age to believe that they have to be strong and manly and athletic and almost barbaric in a way to prove their masculinity to one another. Because us women, you don't have to prove your masculinity to me. It's kind of like, excuse my language, but like a big swinging dick contest, essentially. And so we raise these boys to believe that, like, in order to succeed, they have to perform well in these boxes: football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, so on and so forth, to prove their masculinity. And with that comes that aspect of, like, physically injuring yourself, harming yourself, like bashing your skull into someone else's skull and risking CTE for a sport. Like, and you think you're like, I have to do this, when it's physically dangerous and a little bit insane, right? So it's the idea of, like, being a man. Then it also came with an aspect of, like, getting out of your situation. And, like, you may have grown up in a low income area, or, like, you didn't go to the best school where you don't have the chance to, like, pay or have good grades to go to college. So you can, through sports and athletics, if you're really, really good, it's an opportunity for you to get a higher education. So I was kind of thinking of that, like, economic standpoint. Then I was thinking about it from a race issue, not only in the sense of, like, black men who play football, but Tyreek Withers being mixed as well, and, like, the intersectionality between race, politics, wealth, education, and how all of those things tie into sports, specifically football. So that all was top of mind. I had so many questions that I wanted to ask. Then I was thinking about women who marry professional athletes for a sense of status or security, even though statistically, like, they're more likely to cheat on their wives. So I had 1,000,002 questions. Power, ego, yes men, enabling barbarism in the world of male sports, grooming young men and breeding them to be animals in the name of athleticism, which they touch on at the very end of the film, when it's like, we groomed you to be this. Like, you think you got here because of your hard work? We've been, like, propagandizing you from birth, essentially, to be here and do this because it's $1 billion industry and we make money off of you risking death and injury. Like, we profit off of your pain and sacrifice, right? Okay. Losing your integrity for money. Like, at the end, was he going to sign away his life in the name of football and, like, sign away his integrity, essentially, for success? And how many people do that in Hollywood, in sports, in politics, all of these. Willing to harm yourself in order to gain a blip of recognition from your idols. That was when the guy was getting blitzed in the face with a ball, and he was so grateful. It's like, you'll harm yourself, embarrass yourself, put yourself in bad situations. For what? To meet your idol for 5 seconds? Like, they're gonna forget about you tomorrow. You know, we put so much stock in idolizing celebrities and athletes and public figures. For what? There's, like, really no gain on the other side of that. Yeah, a clear indicator of a great movie to me is something that makes me think and ask a lot of questions, and bring it to, like, a real world scenario. I thought this movie was incredible, and I wish it was longer. And you could have called me and I would have given you 1,000 to make it longer. I don't know if that would have done, I don't think that would have made a dent, but I would have given you guys some cash to make this movie longer, because there's more of that story that needs to come out. And my review was, I wanted them to go deeper. I wish it were longer. The editing and cinematography were phenomenal. And Tyreek Withers, I mean, come on. You guys, the next movie I watched was One Battle Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Now, the first time I saw this trailer, all of the hair on my body stood up. I got cold. I sucked in a breath and I was like, I have to see that. Oh my God, I have to fucking see that. And I did. And it was 5 stars, fucking incredible. I'm a huge fan of Paul Thomas Anderson. I love Boogie Nights. I love Punch Drunk Love. I love Magnolia, which we'll talk about next. I love his storytelling. I love how it's non-linear, but it is linear. I just love the way he captures the world. And I loved this movie. Teyana Taylor, I'm gonna start the Oscar campaign. Don't worry, girl. I got you. I'm gonna make flyers. I'm gonna go door knocking. I'll do whatever I have to do. I'm getting it to you, girl. I'm getting it to you, girl, because that was fucking awesome. Her performance, electrified me. It made me want to join the revolution. Some search for battle, others are born into it. When their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years, a band of ex-revolutionaries unite to rescue the daughter of one of their own. I'm so surprised that is the description, because that wouldn't be the way I put it into words. We pick up with Teyana Taylor and Leonardo DiCaprio meeting in this call to action where this group of revolutionaries are about to do something, cause a disturbance, make noise, and Leonardo DiCaprio is the bomb guy, and she's basically saying make a fucking show. This is your stage, baby. Light it up, okay? So we are in the 90s and we follow them on this super amazing, incredible love story that blossoms through their work in the revolution, okay? And then we follow them through that time, and we get to know these people a little bit, very briefly. Teyana Taylor being one of them, and she plays Perfidia Beverly Hills. So, takes us along. There's this incredible scene where she is shooting off a machine gun pregnant, and she goes, I feel like Tony Montana. But then they pan to Leonardo DiCaprio and Dijon clapping and folding chairs. Dijon is in the movie. If you haven't seen the movie and you need a reason to go, Dijon is in the movie. Chase Infinity is in the movie, and she's fucking incredible, and this is her first movie. Can you believe it? She's incredible. She is incredible. Just putting that out there. Dijon is in the movie. Just want to let you know. Follow them through the 90s. This is where we get introduced to Sean Penn's character, who kind of has this cat and mouse game between himself and Teyana Taylor, trying to essentially arrest her, but also separate and infiltrate this revolutionary group, which he eventually does, because they go to rob a bank with Jungle Pussy. Jungle Pussy is there, and she's awesome. They go to rob a bank, and one of the security guards is on the ground. They're all standing there everybody down! And then the security guard starts inching towards them, and she's like, stop moving. Please, you stop doing that. Stop doing that. And he doesn't, so she shoots him. So they all start running. There's this epic car chase. It was a really epic car chase, but I'm just like, why didn't you just pull in traffic and act like you were just going somewhere together? You caused such a ruckus in a scene by going 80 miles an hour down a one-way street. Hello? But, I mean, I guess, obviously, that moved the story along. So then, they do have the baby, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Bob, is kind of just like, why don't you just stay with me? We don't need to do this anymore. We have a baby now. It's in their hands. We've done what we can do, and we can help, but our focus is our baby. And Teyana Taylor's like, I'm not leaving this cause. Sorry. So she goes and robs the bank. And then there's this epic car chase. She obviously gets taken because Sean Penn gets the entire government to track this chick down. They arrest her. I thought the scene where they were pushing her in the wheelchair and all taking selfies with her arresting was a perfect representation of media and protective forces now, and the thought of how this would be such a publicized thing. And it's what side of history do you want to be on? I don't know. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Leonardo DiCaprio and Chase Infinity, and she's a teenager in high school. And he's kind of loosely trained her. She is aware of the revolutionaries, but like she's not in it, right? They're living in their town. He goes to school. Like, he's a stoner now. He's fried his brain. He doesn't remember anything about the revolution. He's a very passive guy now. And of course, the subplot, like the B plot line that's going on here, is Sean Penn wants to join this elite white supremacist cult where they call themselves like Santa Claus or something Christmas related. It was basically making fun of white guys, white supremacists who need approval from one another, so they like do all of these really homoerotic things while being entirely homophobic with one another, and it's just super weird. So we follow that for a while, and that's the subplot. So Sean Penn wants to infiltrate and join this white supremacist group, but he realizes, I don't know if I can because they're going to do a background check on me and find out that I maybe have a baby. And you're like, what? Because up until this point, you're like, Chase Infinity, and I'm so sorry, I would have her character name, but my computer once again overheated, so I had to turn her on. So we're going to be referring to everybody by their actor, real people names, okay? Chase Infinity, you're like, that's Leonardo DiCaprio and Teyana Taylor's baby. And then you're like, when did Teyana Taylor and Sean Penn have sex where he would have gotten her pregnant? What? Like, my mind blew. And so then we go on this epic chase where Sean Penn in the military track down Chase Infinity at her high school dance to try and kidnap her to perform a paternity test to see whether she lives or dies so he can join his white supremacist group. Okay? While all of that is happening, Leonardo DiCaprio realizes and learns that his daughter is missing and in danger and has to call the old revolutionary people to like get in touch with them to get help, and he can't remember the secret password to do so. So he finds Benicio del Toro, who plays the sensei, who is truly the revolutionary, which is kind of really my favorite part of the story, was that like Bob Ferguson, Leonardo DiCaprio, was so out of it. He was so removed from the revolution and just so in his own world, his own stoner paradise, that like he had to go to Benicio del Toro, who essentially saves the day because he's still heavily involved in the revolutionary. He has his own private immigration service going on through his dojo where Chase Infinity trained. So it's like all linked because that's kind of where we first meet her, which is awesome. And so we go on this journey with Bob as he goes to try and rescue his daughter while actually doing nothing to rescue his daughter, just riding the coattails of Regina King and Benicio del Toro and the support groups that they have created because of their work in the revolutionary. Now, I just want to make sure if anyone got this far into the video, if you're still here, it's so nice to have you. If you saw the movie, I'm correct on that, right? Like, I didn't miss another thing. Like, that the lines lined up. And he was like, we have to kill you. And she was like, that's not happening. And then there's this epic chase scene one more time where we finally kill Sean Penn, and there's this great standoff between Chase and Leo where she's like, who the fuck are you? And it's like, it's your dad, it's your dad, it's your dad. And like they're driving off together and on these hills, which I thought was such a fucking sick shot. Like, we have Chase Infinity, Sean Penn, and Leonardo DiCaprio chasing one another on these hills, and it's literally like one battle after another, which they say very early on in the film. Blah, 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 blah. And from here on out, it's one battle after another. And then the film ends with Chase going home with Leo, and we pick it up where she is now heavily involved in the revolution, and she's going out now, one battle after another. And I thought this film was so topical, generational, probably the best movie I've seen of the year. But what it also did was it was enjoyable. The chase scenes were fucking awesome. It was really funny. The pacing was awesome. It's 3 hours. It did not feel like that at all. The acting performance is 10 out of 10. Dijon was there once again. I'm just going to remind you. But that's really true. Like, it's one battle after another. I think a lot of us, especially people in my generation, feel like we were just born into a shitty time. It's like, we haven't caught a break. But the truth is like every generation before us has had to deal with, you know, shitty government and bad policies and, you know, disease scares. I mean, not pandemics to the magnitude of COVID, but like they've had to deal with recession and things like that. I just wish as a generation, and like especially on social media, people didn't have such a defeatist mentality where they're like, oh well, it's never gonna get better, like what are we gonna do, it's over now. It's not over. We can still make change. It's not. And the truth is, like, even after watching one battle after another where they're doing like these big loud statements, it's like they don't have to be loud and they don't have to be performative. They should make change and make waves, right? Okay. Just thinking about it, that movie was fucking incredible. Tiana, I'm not kidding, you're getting that Oscar. It's the last thing I do. I'm telling you, girl. I'm telling you right now. Next movie I watched was Magnolia. Whoa, this is really hard. Okay, Magnolia was a Magnolia had an ensemble cast. Magnolia was 1999, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie to you, my energy is dwindling. So we're gonna roll into these last two. Cool as a cucumber, because I want to lay down. That I could tell you what this movie is about. I could tell you my thoughts on the movie. There's no world in which my words do the film justice. This is something you have to watch on your own and make your own assumption about it. Because I truly think that the through line through the film might vary person to person. Which is true because movies are subjective, of course. But what I interpreted from the different stories being passed around between characters, passed around like between families and complicated relationships and ties like that, was about atonement, confronting the past, grief, generational trauma, and denial. I'm just gonna run through my notes here because if I get into plot, my brain will explode. All right? Things fall down, people look up, and when it rains, it pours. On a random day in San Fernando Valley, a dying father, a young wife, a male caretaker, a famous lost son, a police officer in love, a boy genius, an ex-boy genius, a game show host, and an estranged daughter will each become a part of a dazzling multiplicity of plots, but one story. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I will think about every day that I never got to meet him or speak to him because I have so many questions, because I think he is probably one of the greatest actors ever to have existed ever. Okay, so getting into atonement and confronting the past. Jimmy and Rose, that was the first thing I thought of, especially when it came to the revelation that he assaulted his daughter and sexually abused his daughter. And that kind of later in the film, like, you start to understand why she abuses drugs and has a substance abuse problem, because it's revealed that her father assaulted her. So there's this idea of, like, while all of these things are happening which tie to death or like uncertainty and things of that nature, we're starting to atone for our sins and the things that we've done in the past, right? Okay, that also comes in with Frank and Eric, because Frank, played by Tom Cruise, when he was a child, his mother had cancer and was sick, and then his father left to go be with a younger woman, and he had to take care of a sick mom. So then he grows up to become a male podcaster who basically, in not so many words, hates women and teaches men to seduce and destroy women and to hate them. Which makes no sense because he loved his mom. And I don't know if it was more of a resentment thing of like, I had to raise my mom and I had to take care of my mom and do all this stuff. Like, I'm very resentful. I didn't really totally pick up on that bit. But at the end, when Frank is dying, or when Eric is dying, like the whole time he's in his bed and Philip Seymour Hoffman is his caretaker, the entire time, Eric knows he's gonna die. And he's like, I want to see my son. So we bring him there, and there's again that confronting of the past and like an anger between Frank to Eric, because he's like, I can't, like, and now you're fucking dying of cancer. Like, well, we've already been here before. So there's also the line that William H. Macy says several times, which is, the past is not through with us. Like, you may be through with the past, but it's not through with you. Like, you have to learn from the past or you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. And that's where I felt like there was so much grief and trauma and denial, and the different ways people coped with that. Substance abuse, like forcing your children to do something. William H. Macy was like obsessed and like addictive to other things and other people because he was a young boy genius and like craves validation from other people. And then we see the young boy genius, and he feels like he can't let people down, but then we get to a point at the end of the movie where he's like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Philip Seymour Hoffman is kind of just like a voyeur and thrown into the circumstance of watching somebody die with all of their complex family ties. Like, there were so many things here. And one of my favorite things about the movie was how it was raining a lot during the movie, and it was like torrential downpour, and people kept saying it's raining cats and dogs. And then something happens in the movie that I'm not going to tell you. And then just all I'm going to give you is like, isn't that a sign of the rapture? And rapture talk was going off last week. The movie kind of reminded me of like a yes and exercise in an improv class. Like, it was a little bit crazy, like, thing. And then it was like, and then this happened. And then this happened. Like, what? Coincidence and chance. There's something that happens. Like, the beginning and the end tell you all these stories of coincidence. And it's just like, these are things that happen. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Like, everything happens for a reason, and they just happen because they happen. And all these different contradictory belief systems that people have to justify the things that happen around them and the way that their life pans out. Like, I find that so interesting always. You'll get through this intentional dialogue. Every line is so intentional and incredible in its own, but in the grand scheme of the film, it's the least interesting thing. Like, the sound design, the movement, the flow, the pacing, the editing, that is what I'm thinking of, and the blending of stories. Like, the dialogue, I can't remember the lines verbatim, but every line is so fucking intentional. And Paul Thomas Anderson is just such a great writer. The other thing it made me think of was where you place purpose. So for the cop, it was his job. It was doing a good job at his job, and when he met, what was her name? Claudia, it was love. So it's like, he placed a lot of purpose in being a good person, helping others. The father, to his son who was on the game show, it was like his purpose was living vicariously through his son's success and intelligence, out of vanity. William H. Macy, his purpose was like feeling love and validated and being useful to the people around him. That's why it was so hard for him when he got fired from his job. Claudia was suppressing pain through the use of drugs. Phil helping others with his job. Like, he made himself expendable to find Frank and get Frank to come to the house when he was just supposed to be there to like attend to Eric in his last moments at the bedside. Then we have Jim, again, with his job and his likeness, because he found out that he was sick and like was still trailblazing through the show. But then later you find out that he abused his daughter. And Eric reflecting on the past and the life lived and atoning essentially for his failed relationship with his wife and son. So I give the movie 4.5, 5 stars. I thought it was fucking incredible, and you really have to watch it. So that's that. Last movie, and I don't have much to say on it because I feel like I need to watch it again. Friendship, 2024, directed by Andrew DeYoung. Men shouldn't have friends. Agreed. Men shouldn't have anything. A suburban dad falls hard for his charismatic new neighbor. All right. Now let me just start by saying Tim Robinson is so funny. And my friend Alyssa showed me Tim Robinson for the first time a few years ago or whatever. So thank you, Alyssa, for that. But we follow Craig, Tim Robinson, as he slowly and madly falls in love with Paul Rudd, Austin, his neighbor, and tries to become his best friend. And it, like, this friendship or possibility of friendship literally takes over his life, and he becomes obsessed, and it destroys his relationship with his wife, who's in remission for cancer. Yeah. So I thought this movie was incredibly funny, and the first time I watched it twice, which is so funny because I just said I think I need to see it again. First time I watched it, I hit the bed, and I was like dozing off in between. Okay, so I saw the beginning, and then I opened my eyes and I saw the part where he had like the archaeologist rock thing with the galaxy behind it, and I was like, is this a magic stone? Fell asleep again, woke up at the part where Craig is saying like, I can see the future and it's great, and he's talking about his like just being around, being the best guy friend there could be to the boys. And I thought, I'm like, oh my god, this is about him seeing the future and wrecking his relationship with his friends because he sees the future. Next day, I watched the movie, top to bottom. That wasn't what it was about at all. Thank God. It was really funny. I thought all the performances were incredible. I thought it was, usually, like I said this on my TikTok, which you should follow. Usually boy humor, sometimes it goes over my head. I'm just like, okay, this is like elementary. Like, we're talking about farting and sex and like, I'm a boy. But I thought this was really funny, and I thought it was like the psychological aspect of like male friendships and like the ways that they go about performing for one another, again, to like feel validated, and like the big dick swinging contests they have, and they're like, I have a job and a wife and a car, and it's like they don't even know anything about each other. They never get deeper than the surface. And what I found so funny was the aspect of Tim Robinson's character like coming over to hang out with these guys, and on his first meeting with them, he is just so bizarre and embarrassing that they're like, okay, we don't want to be friends with you anymore. And I was like, I don't believe that for a second, because I know guys who have met one day and it was like weird and whatever, but like they've been friends for years now and they don't know anything about each other. I also know guys who are friends with predators, and it's like, oh well, we've been friends for so long. Like, there's this weird aspect of loyalty between men, and you see that with Craig and Austin, because Austin wears a toupee, and even though Austin was so quick to throw him to the wayside and be like, we're not friends anymore, Tim Robinson throughout the whole movie covers for him in the fact that he's bald, just because he's like, I'm loyal to you, man. Like, male relationships are weird to me, and like, men shouldn't have friends is the funniest logline I've probably ever heard. That's all I have to say on friendship, because my brain is fried and I'm like exhausted, and I feel like I did a bad job, but I'm proud of myself that I filmed the video. Okay guys, sorry for that jumbled mess. That was obviously not 8 minutes. I don't even know why I tried. I think we should just call this movies I watched this month. Movies I watched this month. Okay, whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, or don't. I'm still going to be here next time, as you know. We have vlogs. We have movies I watched this week. We have rating my best friend's top 4. If you want me to rate your top 4, just comment them and I totally will do that. Rating a stranger's top 4, or a friend, if I'm allowed to be so forward. But thank you for watching. Like I said, I have a blog, I have a Instagram, I have a TikTok, I've been modeling, I did a video shoot, I've been vlogging. You should follow all of that. Dry Gin Martini. You should definitely check out our website. And guys, I got an email. So I also have an email. If you have any movie recommendations or anything, contact dryginmartini@gmail.com. Don't be a pervert and don't be fucking weird. I will change the email faster than you can say email. Okay, don't be weird. I'm acting like I have 1,000 people trying to fucking email me. Whatever. Business inquiries only. Till next time, stay flirty, stay thirsty, watch more movies together, make more movies together. And remember, no act is too small and no dream is too big. Not even that one. Not even that one. Right. Stay flirty, stay thirsty. Chin chin, bitch.